Hey, YouTube, what's going on? All right, the Holy Trinity, Instagram, YouTube, and StreamYard. All right, we are powered by StreamYard, a platform to do any type of sales, meetings, online, anything. All right, so we are the way. What's going on? Nice for you to join us. IG, today we have a very special episode. Today we are going to be talking about fatherhood and new fatherhood at that. As some of you or most of you know, I am a dad recently. My daughter was born in September. So, there is she's just over here, like it's not this September, but the September before. And, it's been a really amazing journey. We just saw her 1 year birthday this past September. And she actually was running today for the first time, and she took a dive like she was sliding into first base. And it's nice, as a dad, you're like, hey, you're okay. Dust off. Let's hope that you're gonna make it, and you keep it pushing. But this episode, we're gonna actually have on one of our guests of the show, the Hackman. Actually have him on tonight to talk about fatherhood. This is a conversation that we're going to have a two-part series too. There are two fathers, recent fathers, that we're going to be having this discussion with. The first is the Hackman, and the second is my brother DA. Him and I have definitely been in talks, and I was actually at his baby shower before his baby was born. And, we were just giving advice, and they were giving out, some things that were just important, like what would be important takeaway for, new dad, right? So we definitely we're going to have him on as well, and that'll be next week. So this week is the Hackman, next week is DA. And again, the conversation is about fatherhood and just about the nuances of that journey. Because I think as Black men in this society, we don't always and often actually have the conversation about, what it means to be a dad, what it means to be a father. What does it require out of us, especially in a society that never even views us in such a role, right? Where we're seeing, on TV and social media and what have you, that a lot of Black fathers aren't in the homes, right? A lot of single parent households in our community. And that wasn't the case prior to, I would say, maybe prior to slavery. Like, prior to that, we were in each other's homes because we were with each other. Like, we were always around. And I think when you take, one component out of a home, it's going to impact the children, right? So if you took all the mothers out of homes, how would the children fare, right? After that. So this conversation is going to be about, again, fatherhood, all the different nuances about it when it comes to, going from dating to married to, becoming a dad or getting pregnant with your spouse, when it goes into the hospital, how that works, when it goes into the support that you need to learn to give to your partner during that time, and then the support to your child, and how all of that plays a role in your life. So that's the episode today. So we are. Let me say hi to the room. What's going on, Auntie Bev? How you doing? Yeah, I'm about to take off this jacket. It's getting hot. I'm not trying to sweat so early. We just got here. But I do want to let y'all know about our podcast. So we are going to be streaming all of our episodes on our SoundCloud as well as on Apple Music. So Apple Podcasts. So if you have not yet done so, definitely click the link on the bio for the Way Podcast, and add our link tree on there. You'll see a link to our podcast, so you can go on there, listen to all of our episodes. We're going to be uploading them over the next couple of weeks going into the new year, so that everything is uploaded. That way, you guys have us, and we can become even more accessible to folks who don't know about what our mission is and what we're trying to do. So if this is your first time with us, let me just give you a quick rundown of who we are, right? The Way is a nonprofit based out of New York City, and the purpose of which is to give back to the community in 3 areas of experience, which is philanthropy, relationships, and financial literacy. Okay, those are the 3 areas that we serve in. So what does that mean? That means that we provide advice, information, knowledge, conversation, interviews with folks in those areas to give you a better understanding of those areas. Did I name the lion yet? I have not named my lion. I think Simba is just a standard name for that lion for now. However, he's going to get a name soon. So when he gets his name, I'll definitely let you know, Auntie. But he's been a good luck charm. I think everyone, like every time my baby girl sees him, she's like, ah! She points at it. I'm like, yep, that's the lion. So yeah, but I'll name him soon. So yeah, so we provide information, conversations in those areas. And one of the things that we're looking to do for the next year is we're going to be rolling out our financial literacy course, which again is going to be us, giving back in that way to actually people and students alike. We want to do it for students. And our guest is finally here, Mr. Hackman. What up? What up? All right. So y'all, special guest, the Hackman. We're talking about fatherhood. So he's actually here. Let me pull him up. Hackman, what's going on, brother? Let me see you. Let me see you. Let me see you. Boom. Come on over. Come on over. And I've got to make sure that I actually take off my Bluetooth headphones, which I don't want to do, but I have to. Hack, I got to take it off so that I can point the mic at the phone so that our StreamYard can capture all of your gems and my gems.
All right, gems. Okay, I hope I got gems tonight.
Listen, here's the beautiful thing about being a dad. Everything's a gem.
That is true.
It's all gems. You don't get to pick and choose with gems or gems. They're just all good ones. Man,
every day is a new day.
Sir, first and foremost, I want to say I'm loving the beard. Number one. Let's get to the real work here. What have you been doing to grow that monster that I see right there? That's looking beautiful, man.
My daughter loves it. Now she just grabs hold and I'm like, yo, listen, you're gonna make me bleed the way you're pulling.
Yeah, no, it's they don't care. They don't care about the beard at all. No respect.
None whatsoever.
Yep. So you just got to know that beard's coming down with her, and when she wants it, she gets it. That's get with the program.
That's true. That is true.
But it's cool though. After a while, they actually get so used to it that they don't yank it anymore. So you got to just let them go through the touchy feely phase.
Yeah, I know she definitely likes the beard because one day I shaved it all off, and then she looked at me like,
what's
this? What's going on right now? Right?
Yo.
So I was like, let me just bring back the beard and keep it there.
Hold on one second, guys. Let me raise this volume here. That's funny because, in her span of life, she's been here for, however many months. And for every day is like an important day. Like every day is like her entire lifetime, right? So, you shave for a week. That's like 20% of her life. She's like, what? I just got here. I've seen you for like 5 months. Like, oh my God. A week is a big deal.
That's true. Too many changes at once. Not a good thing for her.
So how old is your daughter?
She is. She just turned 5 months.
5 months. So my number was right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. 5 months this week, actually. 5 months this coming week.
Wow. I'll tell you, after 12 months, you stop counting. I'm just gonna let you know right now. Once you get to 12 months, it's like, okay, she's a year and change. You just start saying change. And then
a year and change. I feel like my wife, though. My wife celebrates like every month. Every month, like she's 18 months, she's 19 months, she's 20 months. All right, she's definitely going to be doing that for sure.
Oh yeah, no, she's going to be counting the months because that's what our wives do. That's what makes them special because they know they got to keep up because we may not keep up as well as they do. So well, let me give you a quick, I guess. What my thoughts were for this episode, right? So I wanted to kind of talk to you from a perspective of a new dad because I recently was in the position that you're in. So like literally, and I know anyone that's listening that's a dad on the call, they're going to obviously be at a different stage than us. But I want to talk to you about your experiences and kind of contrast them with like where I'm at now so that we can kind of like go back and forth with like, okay, this is your experience, this is my experience. And let's kind of get like a consensus on like what we would say to other dads entering this realm, because that's a conversation that my buddies, like, my close friends like Sherrod, Jerome, they had kids and, they've been giving me advice on kids just because, again, they have them and, those are my close friends. But outside of them and my brother, obviously having my nieces and nephews, like I didn't really get a conversation about this experience, like the hospital, about, the transportation back home, about the car seats, about having them correspond with the stroller, about, what the baby eats out of. Should we use plastic? Should we use glass? About how to warm the bottles, how to clean the bottles, using UV light, like all of these nuances to raising a baby in 2020, and then a pandemic on top of that. So your baby can't even socialize. So like now you got to like, no one taught us how to do this right now. Like, just to be honest, it's like a trial and error situation. So what I wanted to do was just have a conversation with you about some of those things that we take for granted that we're seeing every day, that again, dads who are expecting or looking to have their first child, what would they want to know before they go down this road? You know what I mean?
Yeah, got you. I got the juices flowing already.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just trying to make sure we get them popping. I already know you got you're here for this. So, all right. So, okay. So let's start with the beginning, right? So you're 5 months now. So your baby is being, well, you tell me, what is the baby's milestones right now at 5 months that you're seeing now?
So the milestones right now is really her soothing herself to sleep.
Self-soothing.
So no more rocking her to sleep and singing songs and trying to get her to fall asleep. I think in this day and age, there's a lot of tech to get a baby to fall asleep, right?
There is.
Which we definitely had. It was me being in tech, obviously. But now, at this point, I want her to fall asleep on her own without that sort of tech intervention.
Right.
So what I've been doing is a lot of reading on how to get them to self-soothe, like different methods, different strategies. So we started that about a week ago to sleep train her so that we can put her down as long as she's sleepy, and she will self-soothe and fall asleep on her own, and then sleep through the night and wake up in the morning. No rocking her to sleep. We put on a bit of white noise, but there's no tech behind it that locks her in or anything like that, like a Snoop bassinet, which everyone knows costs $1 million. But that was a key milestone for us. And I think last week actually, we accomplished that, where we can put her down during the day or at night, fall asleep on her own, uninterrupted, sleeps through the night. If she wakes up, I watch her on the camera. She sort of rubs her eyes and she puts herself back to sleep. So that was a major milestone for us.
That's amazing. Yo, I see. And that allows you guys to get back some time because when in the beginning, the first 2-3 months, man, that baby is going to be all up in your spaces, micro feeding, all kinds of stuff. Like you don't get a full night's rest. So this is like a very beautiful transitional part right here that you're referencing. So
beautiful. And I think the thing I like about this phase is getting time back. I mean, I remember on Saturday, she was sleepy during the day. I put her down at around 11 o'clock, middle of the day. She slept for 2.5 hours. I got laundry done. I washed the dishes. I cleaned the kitchen. I cooked lunch. I did so much stuff. And then when she woke up, I was there to feed her. But I got everything else done by me just putting her down. I didn't need to spend 20, 30 minutes rocking her to sleep or anything like that. So getting time back is super important at this juncture.
Listen, man, and that to me is like one of the things that you have to, if you've never been there, and people always tell you to get your sleep before the baby comes, and that's something that we always try to tell new dads and moms, hey, get the sleep before the baby comes, because when the baby gets here, you're not going to sleep. And my wife will attest, like she has had many a sleepless nights and she still has them. Like that's just a thing, because again, the baby can wake up at any time. The baby can say, hey, I'm gonna wake up at 2 a.m. I just want to have my mom hold me or my dad hold me, and then I'm gonna go back to sleep in 20 or 30 minutes. But again, as an adult, you're waking up at 2 a.m. for 30 minutes, breaking your sleep pattern, and then you're putting the baby back, and then you're going back to sleep again. If you wake up at 5 or 6, well, now you're not getting really REM sleep at that point. So it's one of those things that you're just going to have to live with, especially as a new parent. But gone are the times where you were like, hey, I'm going to be able to sleep the whole night for 8 hours. Like you haven't seen an 8-hour rest. I don't think you've seen 8 hours of sleep since 5 months, but before 5 months.
It hasn't. You know what's funny? And what is a good reflection of my sleep is, so as you know, I cycle a lot. And with my cycling, I do a lot of data collection.
Okay.
So heart rate monitor, fatigue of my body, my sleep performance, my power output the next day following the sleep. And I have this graph that I'm able to track. And you can tell a month before Aquila, a month before we delivered, the graph dropped. And then right after delivery, you just saw a big dip again, right? And now it's slowly starting to recover. Wow. But that is a reflection of my drop in sleep. Because my body is not able to fully recover every night, my fitness just hasn't been going back up. And it translates into everything throughout the day. I just can't ride as hard as I used to anymore.
Listen, and that the perfect example, like so for you was you are so tech that you actually had all of the all of the actual quantifiable like energy, like quantifiable stats. And no, I didn't get this much sleep. This is my recovery is this, that, and the third. I didn't have that. You know what I had? I had the bags. That was the test I had. When the bags started showing, I'm like, I'm black. I'm getting bags. What's that about? And for me, I've always been a good army kind of guy where I can wake up at any time in the morning. Like you want me to wake up at 3 a.m., I got it. 4 a.m., I got it. Like I don't have a problem waking up at any time. But with a baby, and when you have that consistent lack of sleep, you see the things that you consistently used to do start to lag because again, the lack of sleep builds up over time. And after a while, before you know it, you're in a space where it's like, okay, wow, I'm not even performing the way I used to because of this lack of sleep chronically. And I think my wife can definitely have a mission about this where she could even talk about like how that affected her work, how it affected her, all of those things. Like you're literally seeing someone who's a high performer who can literally get up and do anything at any time, literally dragging her feet because she's so exhausted. Like it's a different type of marathon for the women involved, and then for us again as a support structure for our wives. Like I mean, again, and this is not just, you don't have to be husband and wife, you could be boyfriend girlfriend, you can be just dating, co-parenting, whatever, but there is a required amount of support that both parents need. And I don't like it when I hear women say that, oh, I'm pregnant, as opposed to we're pregnant. Like, no, 100%. We are pregnant. You don't get to claim pregnancy because the baby's in you. Because what you're not seeing is when you're wilding out on me and can't cook, someone's out here cooking. When, you know what I mean? When you can't drive a car right now, someone's driving you everywhere. Like, this is a we thing, right?
And it takes a team. 100. I mean, shout out to those who've been able to do it on their own,
right?
Because that to me is just mind blowing, and that just goes to show the testament and the power that is instilled in a woman's mind to be able to go through it on their own. But I think as men, like, you have to show up. You have to be there 150% to support.
And it's so funny because when you get into those hairy moments where like you're both lack of sleep, someone's got to get up to wash a bottle, someone's got to get up to do this, that, and the third, and you're like, listen, I'm just as tired as you. Who's getting up to do what? It's like, okay, we're gonna have to give each other grace, and I'm gonna do it this time if you get me next time. And like, you got to start bartering. Like it gets into this whole situation where whoever is the most rested should be jumping up and doing the most because the other person needs to catch up. Like it becomes a melting of efforts, because again, if I got a full night's rest, I'm not expecting my wife to wake up at 5 a.m. to go handle the baby. Like, no, like I slept from 9 till 4. Good. Let me get the baby from 5 till whatever. You sleep in from 3 to. It's just.
You're, and you got to play to your strengths. I think leading into it, Kola and I told ourselves, we both agreed. I tend to going into. I always used to wake up early. Like 5:15 was just my thing. I was just a early riser naturally. So I said I will always try to take
morning shift,
the night shifts in terms of feeding her throughout the night, waking up, getting the bottle, all of that. Nicola still has to do like pumping, and I mean she has the golden milk. So
right, the golden ticket, sir.
The bottle,
Willy Wonka's golden ticket.
Exactly. So she still has to get up, but in terms of the changing and sort of maneuvering around the house at like 2 o'clock in the morning, I tried to take that out because she's already doing so much. It's the least I could try and contribute. And I think every couple, it works differently, right? Some people say, let's split the night into 2 shifts. So you take the 9 p.m. To 1 a.m. and then someone else will take like the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Like whatever works for you. But just having that conversation so that no one person is sort of sleeping for 8-9 hours at night, and you have someone else holding the bag.
Right.
That's a recipe for disaster.
And when I think about it too, like my mom, she raised us from when I was 99, so 6, so 4 kids from 6 until 17, right? And I'm like, man, like, how did you do that? Like, I'm just trying to figure out how you managed. And again, we weren't. The beautiful thing about, I'm realizing that now too, like my mom and my dad were together until I was 6, right? So he was pretty much with her for the baby, infant, all of the tough, difficult stuff with the 3 kids. Because my brother, my sister, myself, we're a year apart. So that means you have an infant, a 1-year-old, and a 2-year-old at one time, right? Literally. And this happened in the Philippines. Like, I don't know, many of you know my story, but like when I was like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 months old, my dad and my mother decided to move to the Philippines to finish their schooling. So my mom started her schooling in the Philippines. My dad finished his doctorate degree in the Philippines, and we were there for 2 years or a year and a half, something like that. So I was in the Philippines as a little baby. Like I didn't even know this. But during that time, like they're both in school. They're managing 3 kids in a different country. I'm like, how stressful was that? Like it just these are the things that I'm like, I look back and I'm like, wow, I don't know how y'all did it, but thank you for allowing us to get through all of that. And that's probably why I like Thai food, or you know what I mean? I feel like that's probably why that happened. But yeah, but like
just, and I mean that story of in terms of like what our parents were able to do with so much less.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it just reminds you that how blessed you are. Yeah. The amount of resources that we now have at our disposal.
No tech.
Position that you're able to, right? Exactly.
No internet. No looking up what is this bump on my baby's neck. None of that.
None of that. No being able to text a doctor for an immediate response. Right? That does not exist.
Does not exist, sir. And like you said, like, and this is my thing, like our parents, and this is why I give them like extra kudos, because back then they're just coming out of like what was the racial aspect of it back then? So racism was pretty big back in like, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Like they were raised in like Jim Crow, right? And after Jim Crow, now they're dealing with segregation and all those other things. Okay, cool. And they had to still manage us, knowing that like our lives were still risked at every turn without having access to Twitter. Like someone could snatch up your kids and no one could find them. Like, so there was a different level, an element of fear that I think they had as well back then that we don't really have like that, even though there is some level of that, but it's not the same as it was for them. So like they're dealing with the socioeconomic aspects, they're dealing with the lack of tech, and they're still raising pretty much more kids than we are, because that generation raised more kids than this generation. Like our average successful family has what, 1 kid, 2 kids. Back then they're raising 4 or 5 kids. Like my mom has what, 5 siblings? My dad's got like 7. Like there was a lot of them.
There was a lot more. Absolutely.
So anyhow, so look, I got this thing pulled up. It says it says 5 months. Your baby's growth and development at 5 months old. At 5 months, your baby is quickly growing and developing. They may soon be sitting up on their own, preparing for solid foods and learning new languages.
That's another milestone we just hit. Solid food milestone.
Are we doing?
We started 2 weeks ago on the solid foods, and her favorite is pear.
Oh, she likes pears? That's good for her. Yeah, that's good for her poop, by the way.
Exactly. So I found that out in my research. Anything with a P. Pear, prunes, peas, bananas, no good. Cause constipation. As one of their first foods that you're introducing. So she definitely loves those. And you got to make sure you get that pear in her mouth quickly enough, because she will start crying for it. So you got to be consistent with it.
Beating her. Listen, I have a video. I wonder if I could show it. I don't think I can show a video on here. I have a video of our baby girl for the first time feeding herself, right? And with us, like we have like, and peas, I'm learning. So here's what I'm learning, right? Whatever is good for adults should be good for babies if their digestive tract is ready for it, right? Like they don't ever rush them into stuff, but when they're ready, they're going to eat the same stuff that you eat, because they're made up of the same things that you eaten. Like they're a part of you, right? So they're going to associate. So today, my wife doesn't know this, but today I gave our daughter my favorite combination sandwich my dad had us eating when we were kids, which is peanut butter and cheese. Now I know it doesn't sound right. However, it tastes good. So I gave it to her, and she was like, I'm like, oh, whoa. So you are an Igwe. Like you're one of us. You can handle this. But my wife.
There's always interesting recipes that we eat as kids. There's an interesting recipe that I loved as kids that Nicola thinks is absolutely disgusting. But I'm sure my daughter will try it someday.
Yo, wait till she's there. She's going to try it. Yo, my wife was always like, she's like, don't give our child peanut butter because we need to be near the hospital in case she's allergic. I'm like, if that's my kid, she won't be allergic to peanut butter. And if she is, she's not my kid. Like, that's how I'm going to put my whole chest in it. Like, if she doesn't handle peanut butter well, that's not my kid. I'm going back to the hospital and saying, yo, where's my baby? Because have you seen how I
will consume anything.
Yeah. Have you seen me eat peanut butter? So anyway, eggs and noodles. Listen, leave egg. That's eggs and noodles. That's protein and carbs.
Yeah,
that's
eggs and noodles. Who posted eggs and noodles?
Your wife. She's outing you.
Yeah. She's outing me. Yeah.
She's outing you. Yeah.
So yeah, in Trinidad we had this thing where like the thing about a Caribbean diet, if you think about it, a lot of it is based upon making a lot out of very little. Like if you think about the traditional dishes of Palau, it's a mix-up of what was left over from a few days before, kind of throw everything into a pot,
right,
and make a meal out of it.
Right.
So the eggs and noodles thing was just our thing in Trinidad, where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
same.
Boil some noodles and fry up some egg in it, and you sprinkle some salt, and that's a meal. Right?
Listen.
I mean,
delicacy. Listen, people don't realize, like, our palates were built from before we were born. Like, I'm telling you, our parents were eating that stuff, and it's in us. Right. Like, it's just what it is. And she loves jerk chicken. And this baby, I'm like, yo, you're why are you eating jerk chicken? You don't even know what that is. You don't know how that's made, but her mother's Jamaican. Guess what? Right. The amount of jerk chicken my wife has eaten in her lifetime, goodness gracious, she probably owns jerk chicken stock at this point. So the baby's gonna love jerk chicken.
yeah, absolutely. The taste buds are there for it.
Yeah. So that's the 5 months. So okay, so the sitting up part, I didn't know about that, and I thought that our girl was moving a little slow because she's a little bigger than usual. Like, our daughter was always, like, she started off really tiny, and then obviously she was long. So because her mom is 5'9.5", I'm 6 feet, so like she's long. So we knew that she was going to grow because my dad was saying that I was long like her, and I think Alexa's parents said that she was long like that as a baby as well. So I'm like, okay, she's going to be tall, cool. So long babies usually start off small, and then they start growing because their appetites just go. And this girl can eat. So today, this past weekend, she got a bottle, and she was with her grandfather. She got a bottle, and when the bottle was done, she started bawling. Grandpa was like, yo, this is the same thing that Alexia did when she was a baby. I'm like, oh, so the baby got the greed of the mama. I'm like, and Alexia was like, no, well, you did 2 breasts in a bottle, so you greedy too. I was like, you right. Okay, so we both greedy. Like, it's so crazy to see how, like, these milestones, like when you're talking about sitting up, the baby eating solid foods, as they transition through this, I want us to, like, go back and dial into our parents and say, like, was I like that as a kid? Like, have you ever thought of asking your parents, like, did I do this when I was a baby? Did you ever do like or just asking like one that knew you when you were like that young about yourself?
Yeah, there's definitely certain traits. Like, I was very much an individual who did not want to go to anyone. Like, I would scream, kick and scream as a child. And for I think the first 5 months, my daughter was the same. Right. She was not in my arms. She was not happy. This is why she's usually always sitting at my desk with me at work in some way, shape, or form. So I was very much the same. And I think for my wife is she does not like to be cold. You touch her with a cold hand,
she's flipping out.
Cold wipe. Oh man, she's going nuts. She's going ballistic.
Did you guys do the wipe warmers? Have you tried the wipe warmers?
We did.
Beautiful.
I quickly ordered that on Amazon. like that.
Wipe warmers. Tell the people.
That was a major key. And I think to that point, there's been so many reviews of the best things to purchase and the things you need to have to make sure that your child is comfortable.
Right.
I mean, for me, my philosophy was I just went for it. Whatever I need to get to make sure she's comfortable, happy, I just went for it. I wasn't really thinking twice about anything that I needed to get to ensure that she's comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, even like we had the wipe warmer situation too. We did that, and then it stopped working, and we're like, okay, well, we're just gonna do it the regular way. And she would complain about the cold wipes. Then we left them in a warmer spot. I'm like, okay, we're just gonna leave the wipes in a room temperature location, so at least they're not gonna be chilly cold when it gets to her. So yeah, it's just about navigating that. But people don't realize, like, babies are. One thing I didn't realize growing into this process was that babies can communicate with you without using words. And I was afraid of that. And I think Alexia could attest to this too. I think she was the same way. Like, I'm like, how am I going to know when you're hungry? How am I going to know when you're mad? How am I going to know when you poop? How am I going to know when you're uncomfortable or something hurts? Like, how do I know what you need? Right? Like, how do I know? And for us, it's like, I started to understand, and I don't know if this is like our nature kicking in as fathers and mothers, but she communicates with me in a way where, like, it's like she's using full paragraphed, like, sentences. Like I know exactly what she's asking for, what she's looking for, what she wants, without her speaking any words to me. I'm like, have you experienced that? Like, it's crazy, right?
You know what? I remember before Nessa was here, a friend I was cycling with him. He has an 18-month-old now, and he used to tell me, he's like, man, you'll just figure out what she needs. You'll just know the cues. You'll know exactly what to do. And I just used to look at him, bro, you're crazy. Like, how in the world am I supposed to figure that out? Right?
Right.
But it wasn't until I think a few weeks ago, I was sort of sitting down. I'm like, wow, I know. Like, I know when I need to change her Pampers. I know when I need to give her milk. I know when she wants to sleep. Like, I know every single cue that she has to make sure that I meet her at her needs now without her saying a word.
Right.
So I think to the fathers to be, or who are in the early stages, eventually you learn all of the cues. I know it seems a bit crazy, but when you actually realize that it's happening and you know exactly what to do, you'll be amazed. It's like sort of like the ultimate reveal.
Right. and it's like a pick your own adventure book, because there are things that, like, my dad always says, talk to her like she's 3 years older. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not doing that. She's a toddler. She's an infant. She don't know what the hell I'm saying. He's like, no, she's an Igwe. That's how it starts. She's an Igwe. This is how we talk to our kids. I talk to you guys this way. That's why you guys are the way you guys are. Do the same thing. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. And I realized, like, even with her, she likes to throw things now. She said it, so she's throwing things now. It's like just seeing things drop and looking at gravity, and that's just where she is right now. And Alexia is saying that that's a part of her, like, development. She needs to know that when you throw something, it falls. That when when I do this, that something will happen. Like, it's a actions and results type of thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's good and great until you hit me in the face with a brick. Then it's not okay. And I referenced my dog. I have my dad has a dog, a South African Boerboel Mastiff. It was a puppy once, and it was tiny, cute. And my sister taught it to paw, say paw, and to, like, jump up on two legs and be all cute. I'm like, Chin, you're teaching a dog that's a puppy now a skill that when it's 170 pounds and the largest dog on the block, it's going to hurt somebody. I can paw you down, or it can jump and knock you off. Like, we can't train him that. Like, so, like, I was thinking of that. I'm like, okay, maybe that applies to just, like, us as well. Like, so I'm talking to her, and I'm like, hey, Isioma, you need to not throw things. Throw balls, but don't throw this. So, like, when she throw it, I'll hold her hand. I'm like, your hand's on timeout. And, like, I'll talk her through it. But for me, it's like, I want her to hear how I kind of show her the right way, because if I'm doing it out of aggression or upset or mad or whatever, as opposed to just correcting her, it's like, I'm here to correct you. I'm here to show you how to do things the right way and not to be emotional about it. I think our parents, they came from a generation where, like, it was the lash, you know what I mean? You're going to get a quick lash and that's the conversation, right? For me, it's like, okay, I'm not going to hit my kid unless I literally have to, which she's really great. She doesn't need that. But I'm going to talk to her. Like, I'm going to talk to her like this and make sure she understands, hey, I know you're 15 months old, but one day this will make sense. And hopefully that's tomorrow. Like, but we're going to talk about it. What are your thoughts about that? Are you doing that too? Or do you have a different method when it comes to, like, kind of...
No,
Go ahead.
I completely agree. I think speaking, and I can't remember what book I read this in, but that's another thing I did. I read a lot of books leading up to this delivery in terms, and I think I read situationally appropriate books. And I say that because I think, so one of the things that I did, I went to a Black bookstore and picked up some books on what's needed to raise a Black child in particular in the current climate, because I think the way you apply that is really important, given everything that we're going through right now in the world.
Fact.
And one of the things I remember reading about is the way you communicate with your child. And that is exactly one of the things they mentioned is really important, because if you communicate with them in the way that you would typically communicate to an older child, right, they will be able to adapt more easily as they get older, right? So going back to your point in terms of communicating as though they're 3 years older, I do the exact same thing. She likes to do this thing where she tries to headbutt me sometimes. Hey, Nessie, do not do that. You're going to hurt yourself or you will hurt someone else. Right? I'm not going into the whole baby talk of, oh, Nessie, no. I don't do that at all. Right? I communicate to her in a natural way as I would communicate to maybe a 3, 4, 5-year-old child.
Right. And I think there's a place for that, especially with the mother and father dynamic. Like, I feel like mothers always do the, oh my God, they do that because that's a part of their connection. And I think that when the baby gets that from mom, and then from dad, they get, hey, this is what it is. Are you okay? You fell down. Are you fine? Okay. Let me bruise and wash you off. Okay. Go ahead and play. Like, there is a contrasting vibration. I feel that a baby can get from both parents that really does set the tone for how they develop. Because I can look at folks who were raised by their fathers, folks who were raised by their mothers, and I'm not talking about just regular fathers, like good fathers and good mothers, right? There is a collective like understanding that you just have. Like, I was raised by majority of my mom, and she instilled in me like an empathy where I always wanted to do for women. Like, I always wanted to help them. I always wanted to protect them, you know, be that person, that provider, all those things. And then my dad, when I was old enough, he was like, hey, you can be a provider, but you got to be tough. If you got to fight somebody, you got to fight. Like, if you got to defend your family. You got to kill if need be. Like, he taught me that at the time when I needed to hear that. So I got both. But growing up, I was a lot more of the nice and kind and sweet type of dude. And then as I got older, I'm like, okay, there's a place for that. But, you know, I wish that I was a little bit more rough. So for me, I feel like our daughter is getting a perfect blend right now where my wife is very like affectionate with her. She spends that time, does the baby talk, all that stuff, but she also talks to regular as well. And then I come in and I'm like, hey, don't throw that. Hey, don't do that. Da-da-da-da. And together, it literally balances her out because when, even today, she was walking over to a section of the living room. I didn't want her over there. I just said her name loudly. She stopped immediately in her tracks. She's like, and then she turned around and walked back. I'm like, good. That's going to be useful when I'm in Walmart and you picking up stuff you're not supposed to pick up. Cool. We're good here. Come get a hug. Like,
right. Yeah, exactly. You assume different roles. You're absolutely right. But it's really important that you identify who's going to assume what role. Because if you're both doing the Google Gaga, I mean, that seems to be like it's a recipe for disaster.
Parentese. I put it in the chat group. Yeah, parentese. It's like, oh, the baby looks tired. The baby looks hungry. I that's my wife. She does that stuff. I'm like, you tired? Let's go sleep. Come to bed. And like, so this thing. So I don't know if you're not here yet, and I hope you never get to this state. But our daughter, she loves to like sleep near us, around us. She sleeps in her crib as well too, but she loves to sleep around us because that's just she's comfortable. She'll look around. Is dad there? Is mom there? Okay, we're great. Like, we both have to be laying right there for her to go to sleep sometimes. So there are times where she is she doesn't want to take a nap. She doesn't want to go to bed, like really in the middle afternoon. And I just grab her. I'm like, here, come here. You're tired. I see her rubbing her eyes, and I just hold her, right? And she complains for 5 minutes, like forcing, and on the 6th minute,
sleeping.
Gone. And I'm like, yo, you're fighting me. You're tired, and I'm holding you. I'm not letting you run away from me. I'm holding you together because you crawl, you walk, all these things. I'm holding you on my chest. You're going to sleep now, and you're mad, and then you sleep for 5 hours. I'm like, you're gonna get there, hopefully.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be
I'm not fully there. Like, I would say in the last like 4 to 5 days, I started seeing signs of that, right? Where if you put her down and you sort of stand close by, she'll kind of look up, close her eyes, look up, close her eyes, and she'll do that for like 3 minutes. And then on the 4th minute, she's out like a light.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute method that I was researching, where you put her down, you step away for 3 minutes. If she cries, you come back, you console her for a minute, you step away again, and you keep extending the period. So I've been trying that. And granted, I only started seeing this Wednesday. Started noticing this last Saturday. So this is still very, very, very new.
Listen, wife just put in separation anxiety coming soon to a theater near you. That's a real thing, man. there's a point where like, and it's so funny, and this is just, again, we have to have these real conversations. So I would like our child, she would not want me at night. Like it was just a thing. She doesn't want dad to put her to bed. She wants mommy because she's getting her little breast milk, getting this, that, and the third, like boom. So she wants that. So it was hard for me to put our baby to bed at night. Now we're at a place where I can put her to bed. I can put her to bed, just have a bottle, make sure she's full, she's good to go. But there was a time around where you are right now where no one could put her to bed if she wanted mom. If she wanted mom, there's nothing dad could do in our situation. And I'm like, babe, you're gonna have to. She's. I can't console this right now. This is all you. And she's like, why can't you put her to bed? I'm like, because she wants you. It's not about me.
There's nothing like, and I went through that. So I used to tell, I'm like, there's nothing like that motherly,
nothing like it.
Embrace. I could not provide it. Like I remember that period around. For us, it was around the 4-month mark, where no matter what I would do, that girl will be screaming like I'm a criminal.
Yep.
And the moment Aquila takes her,
silence.
I don't know. It's that heartbeat that she's used to. She feels protected. But yeah, and dads, you will hit this phase where you are seen like the enemy.
Yep.
But the moment you give her or him to the mom, I mean, she's an angel.
Now, think about what that means for like single parent households where you don't have the mom available, right? Or you don't have, and again, and there are phases for each parent. But at that, in the early stages, like mom is food, mom is sustenance, mom is life, right? So if mom is back to work or if mom is not available to be there because she may have to work overnights or have to have a nanny come by or whatever, like the baby is literally looking for one person. And anyone that's not that one person, that's not good enough. And it's like, how does that impact the baby's development, right? Like these are questions that I would love to have answered, but is this what you? So the goal is like, if you're coming into this experience, with a partner, with whoever, like you got to support mom and make sure that she has enough time and bandwidth to do her thing, because those 100%. Years of breastfeeding, of bonding with the baby, they impact the baby's mental strength in their lifetime. Like it's an actual stage in life that when it's cut off short, people are not as fulfilled in their emotional capacity as they would if they had been breastfed or been loved on by their mothers for a certain period of time during those early months. So
100%. And I think that's where it's important for the other individuals to sort of pick up the slack. Like I think one of the things that I took on in the last year or so is just doing all of the cooking, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? I mean, that's the least I can do since she's the one doing all of the breastfeeding and pumping and stuff like that. So I got myself a masterclass membership, Gordon Ramsay, learned to cook a few different meals. I signed up for this online website to get a few recipes, and now I just do all of the cooking. And I was happy to take that on because I mean she's just doing everything else.
Right. And I know my wife will definitely give you thumbs up for that. She's like, the hack cooks. You should cook too. I'm like, the hack is exceptional. I'm just trying to be like him someday. Like no, but we both took that on, man.
It's a mental de-stressor for me after you're dealing with like complicated cybersecurity stuff. I mean, just having a nice knife and slicing onions and chili peppers. It's
like therapy. It's therapy.
Yeah, it's therapy.
I hate chopping veggies, but I'll chop them. I'll chop them if I have to. But but like same thing. Yeah. I mean, I think I went to getting my halal meats and cooking meals, and I didn't cook every night, but I cooked often because again, like you said, the bandwidth. You're breastfeeding. You're literally with the baby 24/7. And my wife stayed at home for the first couple of months, so it was her and the baby for everything. Like she didn't even have a break. And what's so crazy? And I'll tell you guys this. One thing that I'm gonna definitely like harp on. Wife was like, "Hey, I need you to step up more when it comes to spending time with the baby." I'm like, "Okay, cool. What can I do?" It's like, "Well, when you get home, take her. I need time to unwind, whatever." So she actually helped us implement this schedule where from 5:00 till 9:30, baby girl's with me, right? And this is at a time where I was like, I didn't fight it, but I was like, dang, I got to now switch up my whole schedule, make sure that I'm available for this because I was doing multiple things, multiple gigs, multiple jobs, whatever have you. So when we switched into this schedule, right? Let me tell you, man, I now covet my 5 to 9 time. Like, you don't try to come in here and mess with my 5 to 9 time with my baby girl, because her and I are bonding like no one else's business. And it's like, that gave me the confidence as a dad, to be honest, because prior to that, you're just kind of like a worker. You're working and helping with things. But the relationship with my daughter now, it has grown so much because of that time that my wife wanted me to put in. And she didn't even know how to articulate that and say, hey, I think that you should probably bond more with our girl. I know you're working a lot in overtime and doing all this other stuff, but you gotta spend more time.
Now you got an executive role.
Listen, so now I'm like, yo, she put me in the C-suite. She took me out of the mail room, put me up in the condo suite with the. I'm living life now. But I'll tell all parents that are new, like, if you don't have a schedule for your baby and time where you can bond with the baby from both sides of the parenting, you got to set that up, because that's critical for your child. Like, you need to know how she is and what her or his, traits are, characteristics. You get to see them. Like, I got to witness my daughter feed herself for the first time. I got to witness her run down this hallway for the first time and spill out like a track star. I got to see all of these things that are firsts, but I was there to console and help her through it and get through it. And like, if you're not spending the time with your kid, you're missing on milestones that you don't get back.
Yep, absolutely. And so I want folks to take away that concept that you just raised, because I think I sort of had that epiphany a bit late in terms of the importance of that sort of 4-hour, 5-hour block, right? Because I think, like, I took some time off in the beginning, but my wife was the one who really stepped away from her business for months on end, and I went back to work. And what I would do is, we were sort of playing volleyball, right? When I don't have a meeting, I'll take her for a half an hour, I'll take her for an hour. But 2 weeks ago, I had blocked off my calendar completely, right? And I took her from 11 until like 7 or 6 in the evening at night. And she got to go out. She got to go hang out at Target. You know, they love Target for some reason.
The colors, man. They love red at this age. Red. They love the color red at this age. I'm just telling you.
That's true. So she went to Target and she went to the bakery. She came back. She's like, I had so much fun today. And that's when I realized how important I'm making sure that I give my wife that time a few days a week. So now I make a concerted effort to block my calendar where I have like a solid 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, you got to do it.
She can just go be with herself.
Get her nails done, get her hair done, chill out, do whatever she wants to do. Yeah,
exactly. So and I wish that was something I picked up on sooner, because I thought me just sort of contributing throughout the day was good enough, but I realized that consistent 4 or 5 hour block is just so vital.
And you know what's messed up? They'll never use it to sleep, because they see they will never. Not no shade, ladies, but you should be sleeping in that time. But you're like, wait a minute, if I sleep now, then I get the baby back and I can't do anything else. So bun that. I'm gonna run on E and go to Target. I'm gonna go shopping. I'm gonna go get my nails done. I'm gonna go hang out, do whatever I can do. Because this 5 hours is blessed. Like, my wife does not want to. When I have her, my wife is free. She goes wherever. Yeah, she goes wherever. She's free. So, well, we got 7 minutes, man. Dang. My SD card ran out of space. Oh, it's about to run out of space. Well, hold on. Let me do one quick thing. So, so Instagram or YouTube, sorry, we're gonna end you. And we're going to continue going on in this conversation, but continue to join us on the next Wealth Wednesday. We're going to talk to another father about his journey. Peace, love, and continue on. Peace. All right, cool. Had to end that. So that was our StreamYard recording. But yeah, so we have 7 minutes left. What would you say is the most, I guess the one thing, maybe 2 takeaways. Let's just do like 3 takeaways from where you are before the baby till now that you wish you had known before, that would be helpful to a father listening to this podcast right
now? I would say my first major one is during that crucial delivery phase. So we had a doula, right? That we had hired. And lo and behold, on day of delivery, our doula had another delivery that was a lot higher risk than ours.
Right.
So our doula actually couldn't make it.
Wow. Right? That's happened, yeah.
So we had like a backup doula who was very, very junior.
Ooh.
And I had to show up like you would not believe it in terms of being that advocate for my wife in the hospital, being that sort of assertive one, like in terms of making sure that everything, that they understand this is our plan, these are our preferences, all of that, making sure they respect us, you know. Like, you're not going to see us as another statistic black couple, right? You're going to see us as Hakim and Aquila. Right. So I really had to sort of step up and be that one individual. So I would say to fathers out there, sort of expect the unexpected. Like, you think you're going in with a doula, you have that support. Things may go awry that day, and you may not. And secondly, make sure that you show up for your family in a special way. I think when we were checking out, I remember the head nurse saying to me that they don't see a lot of fathers be as active as I was during the delivery, and even postpartum whilst you're in the hospital. Right. Asking the right questions, making sure you do your research as well, right? So that you can ask the right questions to the nurses and the doctors. Don't just take everything that they say verbatim, right? They read a book just like everyone else read a book. So you can go read a book too, to make sure you're asking the right questions. I think that would be the second thing. And then thirdly, make sure you find a way to make yourself useful and valuable. And as a man, making sure that you have the understanding that the buck stops with you. Like, you are the last line of defense. There's nothing else after you, right? If everything else falls to the wayside, like, it got to be you who picks it up. Like, there's no one after you to catch it. So you got to make sure that you show up no matter what. No matter how tired you are, if you got a headache, your arms are hurting, it just does not matter. And that's my philosophy as the leader of the household. Like, you got to show up no matter what the circumstances are, because the buck stops with you. There's no one else after you.
Now, let me start with your third point and work backwards. I love that, because again, when you have that cohesive unit where it's like, it's me or you. If you can't, I got to have it. If I can't, you got to have it. And just knowing that you are the last line of defense for each other is critical. And as a man, like you said, this is where our value is seen. Like, when you think about those single parent houses without fathers, that's what they're missing. They're missing that protective last line of defense, knowing that no matter what, we're going to have everything we need, because that's my role here. That's what I'm going to do. Make sure you're good. And that doesn't start with the baby. That starts with the dating. That starts in the relationship. Like, if you weren't that guy prior to the baby, you're not going to be that guy as a dad. You're going to be whatever the hell you were prior. So I would definitely encourage all men that are listening to this call, work on yourself in a way where you can be that release valve for your partner, where you can know that she will rely on you if it's about physical protection, emotional protection, if it's about just being that helpmate when she needs it. Because again, she's going to be your helpmate when you need her. So if you can't help her in her worst, why should she be with you in your best? Like, why should she be there for you if you can't be there for her when she's at her worst, right? Because again, going through postpartum, going through all of that, it's going to challenge your manhood and your entire idea of self because it has to, because you don't build a relationship from nothing. You build it from trials and tribulations. Like, that's how you build it. And having a child can be tribulation, because a lot of things can go wrong, but you got to find a way to make it through and know that your value is going to be seen in that moment. Because when all of our wives look back, they'll say, wow, I had a good one because I was able to get this, that, and the third. Like, dang, at the time he was pissing me off, but I mean, geez, he was there. Every time I needed him, he was like, you know what I mean? Like, that's usually the revelation after the fact. So I love that. And I guess for me, my 3 would be, as a new dad, practice being a dad before the baby comes, meaning learn what your expectations are of a mother and of a father. Like, understand what your own individual expectations are, because you may not be able to keep those, because they may not serve your relationship. Like, my expectation is that my wife cooks for me, right? That's my expectation. But when she's delivering a child and she's in postpartum, how the hell is that supposed to happen? So I need to now go back to my expectation and adjust it and say, hey, I understand that worked back then, but that's not going to work with where we're going right now. We need to adjust. Even with something as simple as, you know, your interrelations with your wife, right? That changes when baby comes because it has to. And it's not because your wife doesn't love you or doesn't, or it's because the baby is now here. Hormones are different. You're going to have a different sexual relationship with your partner because it has to be different. Are you okay with that? And if not, why not? Is that a selfish act on your end, or is that you actually doing what you're supposed to do as a father, which is this is a new phase. We're going to grow through this together and get back to who we are once we're through it. Like you have to know that everything changes. And you've got to show grace to your wife because she's doing way more than any of us. I don't have milk in my ducks. So I ain't never I'm gonna press you about, hey, I'm horny tonight. Like never doing that because again, it's not about me. We brought a life in here. So let's worry about that. And we'll get ourselves together when we need to. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that people don't talk about when when you have a kid. They never talk about the relations between the husband and the wife and being able to maintain that, you know? And having
I just want to plan to see that. You gotta have that guy Q on here because he already has lots of kids and
he's got 5.
I gotta listen to that live.
Listen. The next 2 weeks.
That guy he's an inspiration. Every time I see his Instagram, his story, his family, I'm just like I'm in awe, like complete awe.
Hack.
I'm a fan of you for sure.
Hack, the way that Q and I are so close, like we are tight as hell, and like it's just like you and I. It's like these are folks who I grew up with, but again, is an energy. It's like I just know that I'm gonna vibe with certain people, and Q is like that's a brother to me right now. So yeah, he'll definitely have to be on here because he's like the wise man in the room. He's the
godfather of all of this, right? He's the capstone.
Yo, listen, of this series for damn sure. Like, yeah, the Mind Investors got to get on here. So Q, you heard that? We got to get you on here, bro. So this week, next week, and the week after, it's just gonna be fathers and father conversations. We're gonna be doing it up. So what's my okay? So the second one was that. The third one for me would be you've got to give your wife grace, and you've got to give her grace even when you don't feel like it. Like you have to understand that people go through things in different ways. And if you're not able to forgive yourself and forgive your partner for whatever shortcomings you have and they have, if you guys can't forgive each other, it's going to be hard to grow and develop your marriage for your child. Like there are habits that we have enveloped over our lifetime that were negative or toxic, right? And now we have a baby that's going to be absorbing whatever we give it. So it's important for us to do that self-work where you're working on all of the toxic habits that you have. And you're also helping your spouse work through their toxic habits as well, because the end result is the baby cannot accept these habits going forward. Like we're stuffing the box. Like I don't know how many generational curses my wife and I have broken so far, just out of how we were raised. And it's like we are making it a personal, conscious effort to say, you're not going to yell around our daughter. You're not going to do this around our daughter. You're not going to do that because that's what we experienced. She's not experiencing that. And I'm going to put my foot down on that. And so is my wife. Like we are at a place now where that holds more weight than our own personal like egos, right?
Yeah.
So for me,
100%.
I would say killing ego, forgiving each other, and making sure that you are developing your child better than you were developed. And to do that, you got to do the self-work. To me, that is the number 1 or number 3 thing that I would give to new parents. Your thoughts?
You got to be intentional. I love that. The breaking of generational curses. Love it. So important.
Yeah, man. So folks, the Instagram's gonna kick us off. Dang. YouTube, IG.
I love the series. I'm gonna be tuning in every Wednesday to see what the other dads are saying. Listen, I'm a lifelong student. So
we all are. We all are
tuning in.
And it's time for our fraternity to get together and start teaching these lessons to each other and just kind of opening the spaces so that we can have the conversation, because as Black men, we're not seen in this role. You know, we're not seen. I wore a dad t-shirt and everyone's like, oh, he's a dad. Respect. I'm like, why are you? I don't need a t-shirt to tell you that I'm a dad. Why are you respecting me now because I have a t-shirt? Nice try. Yep. So we've got to do this and normalize this as well, because we can talk money, we can talk tech, we can talk all those things. But this right here, they need to see this too, because this is a part 100%. Of the nuance of us, right? So, brother, I appreciate you, Hack. You know this. You know this.
I enjoy this conversation.
Listen, we will have more. And again, you and I got to get back together on our stuff as well. So we'll definitely be in touch for that. But folks, thank you for joining us on Wealth Wednesday. This is our fatherhood segment. We're going to have 3 more weeks of this. So if you liked what you heard, tell your friends to join us next week, Wednesday. I'm going to have on Q. I know he'll be good for it. I'm going to have on DA, Darren also. That's another buddy of mine. And we're going to have these conversations and work them out. So, folks, until next week, Hack, appreciate you. Love you, brother. Until next time, man. All right. Peace out. Bye. All right. Later, everybody. All right, YouTube. We'll catch you guys next week. Stay tuned, and we appreciate you as always, all right? Be blessed, and we'll see you guys then, all right? Deuces. Peace out.